my first question is Switzerland a tiger, a cat, or a dinosaur? What do you think?
I think we are both. First, thank you very much for raising the expectations in your introduction. I think we have been working on competitiveness for many years. When it was for companies, it's relatively straightforward. I mean, you make money, you last, probably you're doing something right. When it comes to a country, it was a bit more complex. And this is why we have gone into so many indexes, because you look at infrastructure, technological investment, but also something which is more the softer side of competitiveness, value system, education, etc. And really the name of the game is that when you tell people from outside, Switzerland is competitive, which is the case, they will tell you, well, what does it do to me? And I think the name of the game was for us to transfer that into a concept of attractiveness, which is basically how do you have the competitiveness of a country supporting the competitiveness of a company which is interested in coming to Switzerland.
Right.
And this transfer, attractiveness, is really the name of the game of an institution like the GGBa, where we are today. And I think this is the name of the game. How can you make sure that our guests in Switzerland benefit from this competitiveness?
Right. Well, we're going to get into that in a little bit more detail. But first, let me just ask you what you're up to these days.
Too many things. I think that what is interesting today is, number one, the number of countries which are emerging to competitiveness. I'm thinking, of course, of the Gulf countries. China is almost done. We have worked a lot with China. Now they are one of the leading countries in the world in terms of business, competitiveness, attractiveness, etc.
Sorry, but when you say we've worked with China, does that mean as consultants to help them become more competitive?
Yes, exactly.
Or just analyzing them? Oh,
yes,
also.
Oh, yes, yep. We did that. As we do it, we have about 50 national competitiveness centers around the world.
Oh.
So we are working with more than 60 partners, because this is a partnership.
Right.
You cannot be an expert on everything everywhere.
Right.
But we are trying to make sure that this approach of competitiveness, this knowledge, which we have accumulated during the year through benchmarking, what is successful, what is not successful, actually benefit to everybody else.
Right.
So at the beginning, I have to say, when I started on competitiveness of nations, some people told me it does not exist. There is even, an economist who told me one day, it's another name for productivity, which was a bit a problem, especially when this economist got the Nobel Prize of Economics later. It was Paul Krugman. He changed his mind after time. He changed his mind.
I hope so.
But when you're a new economist, a young economist, and they tell you, forget about it, it doesn't exist, it's a little bit hard to swallow. So now it's really established. We have seen that recently. The European Union has established an entire program on competitiveness of Europe. Everywhere else around the world, people are speaking about competitiveness. So this is well established. But there are nations which are really very much thriving to build their own competitiveness. I'm thinking about the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia,
right.
Many countries, the Gulf countries, which you know well, etc. So this is where things are getting interesting. Once they fly by themselves, they don't need us. Like children, once they're adults, they don't need us anymore.
Okay. And are you actually traveling out to these places and
yes,
still doing active consulting yourself?
Yes, I'm doing a lot of that, which I think is good, because it's not only trying to share your own experience, it's also receiving the experience of others. Because the world of today, we will discuss, is not the world of yesterday. So I think things are changing all the time. The post is moving all the time. And I think it's very interesting to find out what not only the companies have in mind and what are their objectives, but what the countries themselves have in mind. We are in a situation of a bit of changes and turmoil, as you know. And how quickly can you adapt to that? What's happening? This is what's fascinating.
Right. So I guess that means that you have to change or modify the list of criteria that you use from time to time, right?
Yes, you have to adapt. Now, our calculation is that if you want to have also some kind of visibility over the years, because you need to have this visibility, you can change about 7% of the criteria. If you change
each year, 7%, yeah,
max.
Right.
We don't do it, but max it's about that.
Right.
If you do more than that, then you cannot compare with the year before, because the methodology has changed.
Right.
If you do less, at the same time, you adapt to changes without changing too much the comparability of your data.